Facts you probably don't want to know. There are more slaves on Earth right now than there have ever been at any point in human history. Rattlesnakes are currently evolving to hide their rattling noise, so we won't even know when they're coming. We'll just think it's another snake. There's parts of Southwest America where you can actually witness a bunch of tarantulas mating. Your skeleton is wet. I don't know why this one bothered me so much. If a rabbit is stressed out enough, it will eat its babies. The picture that will be used on your funeral program may have already been taken. The fact that barcode scanners scan the white part and not the black part, that's not that scary. I just don't understand that one. I don't really like it either because I always thought it was the black part instead. Dogs like squeaky toys because it reminds them of a small animal being killed. Like for a part 2.
Pictures with scary stories attached to them. This picture right here was taken moments before a huge bombing. That gold car in the left corner was the car that had the bomb in it. And I'm not too sure who died, but on the news they showed a picture of the guy in the red dead.
Behind me looks pretty normal, right? This is a photo that was taken of Colleen Stan with Cameron Hooker. What's so dark about this is that Colleen was kidnapped and missing for 7 years. Cameron was her kidnapper. This is a photo that was taken while she was being held hostage. It wasn't until later that Cameron was found and arrested for his crime.
Will you come play with me? Please? I don't want to be alone. We can play forever. And ever.
This one might make you afraid to have a girlfriend. Hunted relationships. In 2012, a boy Nathan said his girlfriend died in a horrible car crash. They were dating for 5 years. He was struggling trying to get over it and was grieving for about 13 months when he got a Facebook message. It was from his dead girlfriend Emily. He thought it was her mom on her Facebook page, but it wasn't. A few more months, the conversations continued and she kept making references to the past relationship that they had that only they knew about. He started getting notifications of her on Facebook of her tagged in spaces that she should have been. He knew her Facebook passwords and changed them. And the messages and tags still kept coming. She would write weird messages like she's cold, she's freezing, and that she didn't know what was going on. To this day, he doesn't know if it was some type of sick joke or really a message from the dead. Give this video a thumbs up if you want more true scary stories.
The photo behind me looks pretty normal, right? This was a photo taken of one of the 8 terrorists at the 1972 Olympic Games. On this day, the terrorists would kill 5 Israeli athletes, 6 of their coaches, and 1 police officer. Also on that day, 5 of the terrorists ended up being killed while the rest of them were arrested.
Innocent-looking photos that have terrifying backstories, part 4. At first glance, this picture looks like a girl having a fun time with a chalkboard, but the truth is very disturbing. The girl in the picture is Tereska. Tereska was a Polish girl who grew up in a concentration camp. Tereska unfortunately survived this living hell. After her release, she was put into a home for disturbed children. Sometime after her arrival, they would ask her to draw her home. This is what she drew. After seeing this, I don't know if I should be heartbroken or disturbed. The top comment will choose my hair color.
If you see a banana like this, burn it. A 29-year-old woman in the UK bought a bunch of bananas, and one of them looked just like this. She thought it was nothing. But then, just as she was peeling the banana, thousands of baby spiders started pouring out all over her hands and on her table. Not only was it just thousands of spiders, but turns out these were Brazilian wandering spiders, which is one of the most poisonous spiders on the entire planet. You could say that bananas have lost their appeal.
Down by the bay, where the watermelon rocks, If you go home, just don't get caught,
Yo, what's up? These are scary facts about our world that you probably didn't want to know, part 8. In 1976, there was a Sesame Street episode that was literally taken off the air because it scared children so bad that it made them scream in horror and have nightmares the night after. You were actually more likely to find a body under your bed rather than in your trash can outside. How terrifying is that? Yeah, we already think about people or monsters being under our bed, but what about an actual dead body? Ugh. It is said that people who died with depression or if they committed suicide are said to have the most vengeful spirits and are most likely to come after you and cause harm. On average, a high schooler now has just as much or even more anxiety than a psychiatric patient from the 60s. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. I'm one of them. And lastly, it is very much possible for trees to grow inside of your lungs. That's right, I said trees.
What's going on, you guys? Welcome to my second channel, where today we're going to be going over some normal looking photos that have a terrifying backstory. And if you want to see some better versions of these, check out Jack Neal's page. He's really good at it. Alright, let's get to it. The first picture I got for you guys is the 3 unsung heroes of Chernobyl. So what you see here is 3 men being carried out of the factory that had the meltdown that caused the horrible events that took place in Chernobyl. What history will not tell you about is that these 3 guys here saved countless lives. There's water cooling that needed to be fixed, or else it would have costed thousands and thousands of more lives that was inside of the same factory that blew up. So there's radiation and just debris everywhere. And these 3 guys went in, fixed the water, and left. And surprisingly, they all survived. This pretty bird behind me is Cher Ami, and she has a crazy backstory. Cher Ami was a carrier pigeon during World War II, and she got shot, lost an eye, and a leg. And because she continued to do her work, she was regarded as a war hero and was given a wooden leg and a replacement eye. But she carried so many messages that were actually the last messages from a lot of war heroes.
Creepy Facts, Part 48. Since 2007, at least 20 human feet have washed up on the shores of Salish Sea in Canada and Washington. As of right now, there's no explanation for why this is happening, but it's likely that these are from people who have killed themselves by jumping off a bridge or from a serial killer.
These are normal looking photos with very disturbing backstories, part 2. This seems to be a normal looking photo of 2 brothers enjoying and laughing at the fact that their hair is standing up on top of their heads due to static electricity. But little did they know that their lives were about to flash before their eyes any second. You see, right after the photo was taken, hail and lightning started making its way onto the mountain, so they decided to climb down. But while they were climbing down, both Sean and his older brother Michael were struck by lightning, and Michael says all he can remember was collapsing on the ground and looking over and seeing his little brother Sean with smoke coming off of his back. The little brother Sean ended up having 3rd-degree burns on his back and his elbow, and the older brother Michael, well, he barely made it out alive. And if you don't know what it looks or feels like when someone gets hit by lightning, here it is. And a person who has been hit before said it's just an excruciating jolt of electricity running through your body, and you're basically paralyzed. Remember, pictures aren't as innocent as they seem.
Old photographs that have terrifying backstories, part 2. This picture describes what is known as forced-standing therapy. Forced-standing therapy was a tactic used in the early 19th century in mental asylums. Both of the patient's arms would be chained to a wall. They would be suspended from the waist and have their feet tied up. They would then be forced to stand there for hours and sometimes days in their own filth. It's pretty much the equivalent of a disturbing timeout. It is very insane to think that we actually used to believe that this was the cure for mental illness. Fun fact, a lot of people in insane asylums weren't even insane. A lot of them had Down syndrome, or they were gay, or they were just ADHD, nothing serious. This man, to be exact, didn't want his picture made, so Lord knows how long they made him just stand there.
Creepy facts you didn't ask for, but you're still getting anyways. In 1496, Joanna I of Castile entered a political marriage with Philip the Handsome from Burgundy. By most accounts, Philip loved Joanna, just not enough to stay faithful. Unfortunately, Joanna was madly in love with Philip. One of Philip's mistresses once had the misfortune of crossing paths with Joanna. Joanna chopped off her hair, and then she stabbed her in the face. It gets so much worse. Later on, when Philip died, Joanna refused to let him go. Literally. Refusing to part with her cheating husband, she clung to his body. Even when her father stepped in and had the body buried, it didn't last long. Joanna ordered to have him exhumed, ran to his coffin, and kissed his dead feet. From that moment on, his body accompanied her everywhere. Only years later did she finally have him buried right outside her bedroom window.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew, Part 5. Despite if you're using incognito mode, Wi-Fi routers actually keep logs of what websites you visit, and the owner of the router can check this whenever they want. So hopefully you don't have anything to hide. A woman in Russia had a shit ton of twins, triplets, and quadruplets with the same man, totaling to 69 children. Nice. Tarantulas taste like shrimp. According to some cannibals, the most delicious part of the human body is the eyeball, and they especially like licking them. The skin on your lips is the same skin that's on your butthole. Dolphins sometimes bite off the head of a fish and masturbate into the decapitated body. A bubble caused by false vacuum decay could be growing through our universe right now, destroying everything it touches, and we would have no idea because it travels at the speed of light. 2020, please no.
You're about to hear one of the most disturbing stories on the internet. Kipling Kip Kinkle was a troubled boy who was always frustrated and anxious in school. By the 8th grade, he was hiding guns in his bedroom, shoplifting, and was caught ordering books on how to make bombs. On May 20th, 1998, in Springfield, Oregon, he was arrested and expelled from school when they found a stolen gun inside his locker. When he returned home after the interrogation, he pulled a gun out of his collection and killed both of his parents. Then he simply ate dinner and just went to bed like nothing happened. The next morning is where things get ridiculous. He brought his entire gun collection to his school and opened up fire, shooting 27 students.